broadcasting live 4 days a week worldwide
from the sunny beaches of Southern California.
This is ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
I'm Adam Bergstrom from SunSync Nutrition, here with Justin and Kate of Extreme Health Radio, and we're juicing up the world and spreading love and synchronicity throughout the known and unknown universe.
What are you making that face at me for?
It's my monkey face.
It's your Halloween face?
It's my scary, mangled teeth face. Speaking of that, this morning,
yeah, what
I
happened?
had a client. I had to go to the salon. That's why we're starting a little bit late.
Oh, okay.
For all you live listeners. But I had a client, and he brought in this little girl, and she walks in. She's this cute little tiny 3-year-old with a blonde bob and blue eyes. And the minute she comes in, she smiles at me, and she had those giant, fake, like, gnarly goblin teeth in.
Really?
She was so loving it. It was so cute because it is Halloween, of course. But oh man, she just thought that was the best thing. I thought for a little cute little girl to love these like green teeth, I'm like, you should brush your teeth a little bit more.
Oh my gosh.
You should go see Stuart Nunley. I'll give you our dentist name.
Oh. Yeah, you can fly all the way out to Texas and get your teeth cleaned.
And you're 3. You might want to get on that.
That makes a lot of sense. That's hilarious.
It was pretty cute.
I want to let everyone know this show is brought to you by our favorite blender, the Vitamix blender, and we've had ours since 2006, I think.
It might be time for a new one.
Ours is just perfect, though.
Oh, it needs a little TLC lately.
Oh, we just need to screw in the bottom blade a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's
lasted us for all this time with no issues. It's been great.
It's been an amazing blender, and if you guys want free shipping on these things, you can go through our link, extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix, and grab your Vitamix for the Christmas season.
Do they have a Halloween color one for today, an orange one?
That would be cool if they do. The Bellicon is giving the $50 off the rebounder right now.
For the orange bungees.
Yeah.
Wow. I hope that's a whole fall thing. We need to find out if that's just a Halloween thing.
That's pretty cool.
But no, that Vitamix, man. I mean, 2006?
Yeah.
That thing's still charging. It just gets a little loose in the blade, and that's because we use it like 8 times a day.
Yeah, we use it 3 times a day. But as soon as we just tighten that up, it'll be perfect.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's an excellent machine. And, man, I don't know what I would do without it. Like, that's a desert island type thing.
Yeah.
A really good pillow, a sauna, and my Vitamix, and I'd be a happy girl.
You know what's cool about the Vitamix, too, is, a lot of people think, should I get a juicer? Should I get a blender? If you have a nut milk bag, you have both.
You can blend up vegetables and
then just strain it through a nut milk bag.
Have you ever done that?
I have, yeah.
Does it work really well?
It works really well.
Really?
Yeah. And you have the plunger, so you could just put in all kinds of like hard vegetables like carrots and beets, and it works awesome.
That is shocking.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Does that work the same way as like taking out the fiber that the juicer does?
Yeah, essentially it's the same thing. Because you strain out all the fiber. And then, if you want, you can take the fiber and dehydrate it and do different things with it.
You used to do that a lot.
I know. Make crackers.
Yeah, you would. You'd make some weird excess juice cracker thing.
Green cracker, mix it with some nuts and dry it out. Put some salt on there.
Hey, but they were really good.
They were.
I would try those nowadays. Back then, I wasn't that into it. But
yeah, you've come a long way.
I have.
Kate.
It's October 31st.
October 31st, 2014. This is episode, what number is this? 337? 337. And we appreciate all you guys listening, especially live. And if you would like to support the show and you make a lot of purchases on Amazon, you can always go through our link, which is extremehealthradio.com/Amazon. And then if you would be so kind as to bookmark that link and then use it every time you make purchases, that would be a great way to keep the show free.
It'd be so great, you guys. Thanks.
Yeah, you can buy your bed sheets, you can buy pillows, you can buy knapsacks.
Fuzzy socks.
Knapsacks. You like that? Knapsacks? Fuzzy socks.
Sock
monkeys. Anything you want.
I love it.
Doesn't even have to be health related. So yeah, it's a great way to support us, and we appreciate everybody that's doing that. And I wanted to also say, have you seen any of the newest iTunes reviews that have come in?
I haven't in the last few days, no.
All right.
I haven't checked.
Here's, I'll read a couple of them.
Cool. People are doing it, huh?
Yeah, it's so awesome.
Oh, thank you guys.
So appreciative of that. Beach Pixie. Beach Pixie.
Cute.
I've learned so much by listening to Extreme Health Radio podcasts. It's extreme because you will be exposed to a wide variety of experts who expound on concepts that are extraordinary, and it's done in an interesting and exciting way thanks to Justin and Kate.
Oh.
And then Carmela0129 says, I've been listening for around 2 years now, and I wholeheartedly encourage you to tune in. I look forward to learning the best natural and holistic ways to improve my health and life, and find the speakers and discussions absolutely fascinating. Often the show is the highlight of my mornings, and I find myself reflecting on it throughout the day. Justin and Kate are two of the most kind-hearted, intelligent, giving people you will ever find, and I realize how blessed I am to have stumbled upon this life-changing podcast.
Aww.
Let's help make this world and the lives within it a better place together, so please share the news.
Well, that's really nice.
That's pretty cool, huh?
We have a lot to live up to. We have big shoes to fill there.
Big shoes to fill.
Wow, that's
Finally,
really kind.
Cinnamon Sticks writes in.
Nice.
Pretty cool name.
Cinnamon Stick.
Reminds me of my friend's dog when I was growing up.
Cinnamon?
Cinnamon.
Let me guess.
Little Cocker Spaniel.
I knew it.
You knew it?
I was going to say a little caramel-colored Cocker Spaniel.
Oh, it was.
Because my friend had one named Pumpkin.
Oh,
yeah, you got to have a name like Cinnamon or Pumpkin when you're a cute little Cocker Spaniel.
So funny.
Cute.
She says, awesome listening, refreshing voice. So happy to have stumbled upon a podcast with people who are as passionate and fascinated with natural and non-toxic living as I am. It gives me a much needed sense of connectivity to a community of like-minded individuals, full of informative interviews exploring a range of alternative health and wellness topics. I appreciate that Justin and Kate talk to the guests with differing perspectives and are so candid about revealing their personal health journeys. I've been learning much from listening to them.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool, huh? I like that.
I like that we reveal apparently some of our lives in a candid way. I guess I don't think of myself doing that, but that's cool.
I mean, a lot of people on a lot of shows, I think what happens is they set up their show so that they're the experts kind of thing. And so as an expert, it's really difficult to admit when you're wrong or admit when you're not, you're going through something that's challenging or something personally maybe that's bogging you down, or something holistically that's not working, or even admitting you have a health issue. And that you have
it all figured out and you have the answers and you feel perfect every day.
Yeah, because we don't.
That's really true. That's really true. I guess I didn't think about that before, but I know the other shows we've listened to. You're right. The interviewers are often, they take the reins and act like the know-it-all when it comes to certain issues that they have. Or just everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I don't know a thing. I'm just on the path learning like everybody else. So that's really refreshing that somebody said that really nice comment. Thank you. Yeah,
I think one of the things that I really connected to when I was starting this show and putting together our whole radio program is that I did see that that's a lot of the shows that I was listening to, the guest would, whether knowingly or unknowingly, set themselves up as the expert. And I've come just from a long line. I don't know, just of people, whether it's pastors growing up or I don't know, just people trying to be the experts. And I don't know, we're all human, we all have our own health issues and we're all on this journey together. And for me to come in here and pretend like I have it all figured out, I know enough to ask hopefully some good questions and share what's going on in our life. And I think that that's the coolest part about this is that we're not the experts. We just share our journey.
I wouldn't want to be the expert. I feel like, I only know my own journey and I can only compare it to myself. I feel like this might be a somewhat rude or bold statement, but I've come to realize in the last year of my life only that I think the people that bother me the most in life, and I'm working on this because I shouldn't be bothered by anyone or let anyone bother me, but the people that bother me the most are people who have it all figured out.
Really? Like you mean just with anything in life?
Yeah, with anything. Anyone who thinks they have anything completely figured out, I'm really turned off to lately. Like I cringe. And it's funny how my whole life, like I used to go to certain people thinking they were experts in one thing, or, even growing up looking at the way my dad, who knows a lot about everything. He knows a lot about lot of facts about different things. He's fascinating, and he's a pretty intelligent guy.
Yeah.
But I realized, like, man, like,
He's just
people
a man.
who have it 100% figured out, yeah, you're just a human, and that really turns me off lately.
What about it has turned you off? That just the perceived authority that maybe they have, people that think they know everything?
The authority and then followed by the judgment, I feel, from people that have it all figured out. Because when you have it all figured out, in quotes, you are the ultimate judge. You sit in the judge seat because you're looking at people in your mind like they're just completely wrong, or they have no idea, or...
Right.
I don't know. I get really... Like, let me try to think of an example. Like, let's see. Like, say one of my clients comes in and... Oh, yeah, like, this is a good example. Like, one of my clients came in a couple weeks ago and said something about their church being better than any other church in the area. Because their pastor was so right on, and so many pastors in the area, aren't as biblically based, and they're a little bit like, basically saying that their pastor was the only guy that had it all figured out and all this stuff. And I thought, really? Like, really? You're saying that out of all these thousands of churches in Orange County,
right?
Your pastor's the only one that knows what's up? I mean, it just was a huge turnoff to me,
And how would he know?
Right. And I'm like, what are you basing that off of? I mean, that's his own opinion and his own experience. But I go, for you to have that actually figured out and to know that your church is the absolute, like, most solid place, and your pastor wouldn't lead anybody astray, and your pastor is perfect. I mean, I thought it just made me cringe, And that's just one example of, like, how can you say that? Like, listen to what you're saying. That's the stupidest comment I've ever heard. Yeah,
I know. I think it makes people feel better to be someone who has all the answers, but for for me, I'm just completely curious about everything in life. I'm really, really inquisitive, and there are so many factors that make up any one thing. And if someone is espousing their truth or what they consider to be the truth about some certain situation, it's just I listen, and as I'm listening, I'm thinking, well, this person obviously hasn't taken into consideration this other factor.
I completely hear you on that.
And they're talking with so much authority on this particular subject, and I know they've never even been exposed to this information in my head that I'm thinking about.
Hey.
And it's like, gosh, why are you up there, or why are you sitting in front of me talking about something like this with such arrogance and such this weird state of authority? And I know that there are angles of this subject that you've never even not looked into, but never even thought of.
Well, a great example of that is the dinner we had a couple weeks ago with my parents at our house, and we were talking about kind of end time stuff and how crazy the world's getting and all this stuff.
Oh, right.
And my mom said, "Well, that's okay because Jesus will come back and we'll all be raptured up, before anything really horrible happens or the apocalyptic stuff."
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, my mom wasn't, she's just basing it off of her biblical knowledge of Revelation and things like that. But I wanted to say, she wasn't claiming to be an expert, but she really believed that all the Christians will be taken up in this rapture. We've talked about that on the show before. But I was thinking, she hasn't listened to the 15 documentaries, that alone, or read any books on the subject of people who
don't
disagree.
Yeah.
And what was that one documentary we were watching on, who wrote Air? Who was that guy we were watching? Bart?
Oh, Bart Ehrman.
Bart Ehrman. Fascinating.
Misquoting Jesus.
Yeah, really interesting thing. It makes you think whether or not you believe about it. I would just love to have everyone that says something like that all watch the same stuff with a somewhat open mind, and then have a real discussion about, like, what really might be going on, instead of people just going, well, we're not going to be here. I was like, well, how do we know that? Like, I would love to believe that because that makes me feel good. But
how do you
know the Bible hasn't been changed 600 times over the last, how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know? That's just an example, but I know what you mean on so many levels. It happens all day long, and I'm like, people.
Stop. I think people I think there's some inadequacy in their own life that they feel like they have to be the person that is the go-to person, and it strokes their ego a little bit, and that it makes them feel like they're important. And so maybe they're feeling a lack of that in their life, and so it makes them feel good if they're the ones that are always perceived at or looked at in their group of friends or colleagues, that they're the ones with all the answers. It just gives them that stroke to their ego. But Like I was listening to something the other day, and this person was talking about the Civil War and talking about the South and the North and all these things, and he was going on with great confidence about exactly what was causing the Civil War and all these things. And yet, I've listened to a lot of the stuff with the creditors in commerce thing. If you go to creditorsincommerce.com and listen to their free audio, they've got about hundreds of hours of free lectures on there. And he goes into a whole thing about the Civil War and how it had nothing to do with slavery. It had nothing to do with the Industrial Revolution and cotton and slaves. And
what was their opinion of what it was really about?
Their whole thing was it was the economy, and it was all contract, and it was all these things. And the idea that the Civil War had anything to do with slaves was just a front for what was really going on. And he goes into this whole thing about it. I can't remember everything about it now because it's been probably 6 months since I've heard that. But it was just interesting because it was like, okay, what he's saying sounds pretty true because he's speaking with authority as well. And at the same time, this person I was listening to recently talk about the Civil War has no idea about any of that. And yet he's talking with all this authority about the Civil War. And it's just like you said, it kind of bugs me when people, just obviously haven't done the research. And that's kind of like what we're doing is we don't have time to do all the research. We could spend 1,000 lifetimes with all the information in the world today about natural healing.
And not have it figured out.
And still only know 0.5% of what's going on with the human body. So how are we to know? So we just share what works for us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why it rubs us the wrong way. Oh. People feeling like they, I don't know. It's so weird.
I think like with the Civil War thing as an example, like no one wants to feel bamboozled. I love that word. Yeah. I've been saying it a lot lately, but I feel like no one wants to feel like they have to rewrite history in their head from what they know, and that scares people. So it's easier just to be like, well, what do you mean it's not about slaves? Like that's what I've been taught my whole life. Well, wake up, people. Like what you've been taught your whole life might be completely wrong. And I think people are, I know it's not comfortable. It's a scary thing to say, wow, could that be true? Mm-hmm. Might not be, it might be, but could that be true? Just to ask that question, like, is where it all begins. And yeah. I just don't. I feel like that's the problem. People don't want to feel hoodwinked, And
having the ego in check to such a degree that you're willing to ask that question, because that question opens the door. Once you open that door to what are the other possibilities out there, if you're a person like us, you're on a lifelong rabbit hole that's going to last forever. Mm-hmm. And you have to be willing to question the beliefs that you grew up with.
Yeah.
And either return to them or say, hey, something's wrong with those things. I need to start thinking for myself here.
It's funny what happens when you attempt to return, though.
It's not easy.
I've attempted to return at times because I think it's just the way I want to be. I just forget it all, like act like this never happened. I actually can't return to it, Right. It's pretty wild. So
you are you having a hard time just kind of going back to a closed-minded sort of system?
Yeah, I can't. Like, for a while I thought I wanted to, but now it's like I actually can't do it. It's almost like I open this can of worms and that's it. Like once it's open, there you go. Like,
what's interesting? It's
to retreat is impossible for me.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's like once your mind is opened, it can't go back to being closed because you understand what other forms of knowledge are out there. And I don't know if the whole Adam and Eve story was something that actually happened in literal history. We have all been taught it has, but isn't it interesting in that story that one of the things, is not knowledge power. Mm-hmm. Is not knowledge the ability to make decisions and scrutinize and things like that. And so without knowledge, how can one do anything? Mm. And it was interesting that the tree that they supposedly weren't supposed to eat from was the tree of knowledge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The knowledge of good and evil. Mm-hmm. What a weird thing.
That is weird.
Why is that in there? Why would God not want people to have knowledge? It doesn't make any sense.
He just made us like a ton of little automatons just like running around without thinking. I mean, what sense does that make?
And also too, he according to Genesis, told Adam and Eve to not eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right?
Right.
So in order for Adam to have not eaten that fruit, he would have had to know that there is no fruit and the ability to make a decision, right?
Well, Eve too.
To
pick the fruit.
So in order for them to have the ability to make a decision, you have to have knowledge. And so, according to the story, how could they have had knowledge if they hadn't eaten of the tree yet? It doesn't make any sense.
There's so many things that are like that that just don't make it. You're right. Talk about a vicious circle right there, chicken and the egg.
It's not put in the right order, because how could they have had the knowledge to choose the tree of knowledge and to eat that fruit if knowledge did not already exist? And so if knowledge didn't exist, they couldn't have made an informed decision.
Yeah, you're right. Because if God said, hey, don't eat from that tree, they had to think about it. Like, oh, I wonder what that tree, like, I shouldn't eat from that. They had thoughts going on.
Yeah. So how do you make a decision based on not having knowledge? I don't know. The whole thing is just, and so I find that as I continue to learn and experiment and open my mind, it just opens up a rabbit trail for everything.
I love the rabbit trail. It's fun. At times it's disturbing, but it's mostly fun.
It's pretty fun.
I found, I've been listening to Carolyn Myss a lot.
Miss.
Well, we call her Carolyn Myss, M-Y-S-S, right?
But they say Mace, right?
Mace. I think she probably knows how to say her name. It's probably Mace. But she wrote this amazing book on archetypes. Anyway, she actually has archetypes.com, if you can believe that.
Oh, wow.
I can't believe that wasn't taken. And I took the test. It's really neat. I encourage everybody to go do it. It's kind of like this really cool thing. You take this test, you answer these questions, and you can find out what kind of archetype you are as your personality and how that plays out in your life and maybe decisions and things.
You know what I wonder, though? I wonder how that plays or factors into the whole dosha thing. I guess it could be separate, right?
Well,
I know. I just thought about that right now because we had Alicia Diaz on the show.
Right.
Talking about Ayurvedic medicine and doshas.
And we had that really great question in the chat room asking if your personality has anything to do with your dosha.
Anyway, let's revisit that.
Interesting. Yeah, let's revisit that because that could be interesting. Anyway, I took this little test and it gives you like out of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 12 possibilities in these archetypes that you could be. And you could be basically, it's like a color wheel. You're going to be way more, it's like a pie chart. You're going to be way more one than the other usually.
Okay.
So my top one, it fit me. It's so perfect. This is totally me. I'm like 80% or 50, whatever. I don't know the pie chart thing here, but it's I'm caregiver. By, my major archetype is caregiver. The second highest one was spiritual. And then the other one is creative. And I mean, that just spoke volumes to me. Yeah. And the more you go into this and you take the test and you can read about, what that means, how you live life, what you might want to do different. There's just really, really, really cool stuff.
So they give you, or she gives you action steps as to how to
find out more too about like what that means. And then you can let me go into mine really quick. You can set up this profile. It's almost like a Facebook thing. It's really awesome. You can go in and meet all these people and read things. People write these articles for specifically for the caregiver section. All these people can write in different things for caregivers to read. And you can go really deep. But anyway, I'll just read you the main part of what a caregiver is. If I can get here.
That's so fascinating.
You took it too.
Yeah, I took it as well. And it's kind of difficult to answer all the questions because it's really an extensive test. But I took it right after you did, and it pinned me down pretty almost right on.
It was pretty right on for you. I agree.
Yeah.
My quiz results. Let's go here. Okay. So the caregiver, just to give you guys an idea, I'm 59%. Here we go. 59% caregiver, which is so me. I give sometimes too much. Archetype family is under caring. Other expressions: nurturer, parent, lover, sibling, mentor, rescuer, best friend, companion, and neighbor. Life journey: to care for others in ways that they are unable to do for themselves. The unique challenge to being a caregiver is to overcome the fear of being thought selfish. Isn't that the truth with me?
Overcome the fear of being thought of as selfish. Okay, interesting. The
lesson to learn as a caregiver in life is to learn to help when it's really needed. Defining grace for that is compassion, and the personal pledge, like a sort of an affirmation for that, is I will dedicate more time for myself so that I have more stamina to care for others and give myself the freedom to explore my own interests, which is so cool.
Wow.
It just gives you like what at a glance what that is. And then I'll go back to, let's see, do you want to hear these really quick?
Yeah.
So it's 59% that, 23% spiritual. You are a deep seeker. You seek a deeper meaning. For you, the journey of faith is never ending. Thoughtful and compassionate, you have a strong sense of moral obligation. And then here's what this looks like. At a glance, archetype family spiritual, other expressions, mystic, healer, and seeker. Life journey to discover the meaning and purpose of life. Is that all?
Well, yeah, that's it.
That's quite a...
That's no small quest.
Yeah. Unique challenge to create a life that balances my spiritual, emotional, and physical needs. My lesson to learn, to be truthful with myself about who I am and what I believe. To recognize why I'm resisting change in order to remain comfortable. Defining grace, humility, personal pledge, I will tap into and trust my intuition and be conscious of where I position matters of the spirit among other life interests. You know, I remember that word about humble right here. It said the lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Defining grace, humility. I'll bring that back around in a second because I had something happen in the float tank that was interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Just put together. And I'm 18% creative as an archetype. You appreciate all the beautiful things in art and daily life. The creative act is essential to who you are. And this is the last little page. This is just so fun.
Wow. Yeah.
At a glance, other expressions are performer, creator, storyteller, life journey to explore the heights of imagination through new forms of creativity, unique challenge to overcome the fear of being unoriginal. Lesson to learn, to develop artistic gifts rather than ignoring them, defining grace, creativity. Personal pledge, I will develop my talent and express myself without letting fear of failure hold me back and stand by my artistic point of view in the face of criticism.
Wow.
Anyway, it goes really deep and it's really, really interesting to poke around on here. So you guys might want to check out archetypes.com. We'll put a link to that.
And as you continue to put yourself out there in any endeavor in your life, you will face criticism and people will want to knock you down. And so staying strong and true to your artistic creativity, whether, no matter what that is key.
It is key. Yeah.
Holding true to that and saying, you know what, that there are going to be detractors. There are going to be people that don't like what I do. And I just accept that. And, I can't get involved in any of that because what good is that going to do? So staying true to your artistic, abilities, in the state of, fear and all that. That's pretty good. I like that.
It's pretty, I don't know. It's like stuff I really resonated with. It's really,
so how did this relate?
She had me pegged, man.
I know, right?
Not she, but the system.
the system. So how did this relate to the float tank? Oh,
well, it was really strange. We went to Newport Float. What was it? A Tuesday, maybe? And our friend Ron Becker, who was on episode, I'm not sure.
301.
301. Look at you.
Looky look.
Looky look.
Looky look.
We had a 90-minute float in between chiropractic at Dr. Bergman's, and we'd make a day of it. And I was sitting there, and I was floating there, and it was probably like a half hour into it. And I was just asking God, like, what do I need in order to heal? Like, completely. Like, what do I need to heal? What do I need to heal? And I kept asking and asking and asking, and nothing was coming back to me, and I usually get an answer. So I thought maybe I'm asking the wrong question in the wrong way. So I changed the wording into, how do I heal?
Good.
How do I heal? How do I heal? And I just put it out there. And the weirdest word came up. It just popped, like, after asking like 5 times, it said humble. Humbly.
Wow.
I'm like, humbly?
Yeah,
how do I heal? Humbly?
What does that mean? Have you figured it out yet?
Well, it's interesting that I just read that word about humility as being one of my archetypal things.
Yeah, that's right.
So I didn't know that. I hadn't put that all together, but, I'm thinking that means just what it means, to not get too set and sure about things being cures or thinking I have the way to figure out my digestion and other things that I've been struggling with.
Yeah.
To really walk humbly with it and know that, as I know, I have good days and bad days, and I'm still not anywhere close to being 100% how I used to feel. And I want to get back to that. So I think there's just a sense of humility that comes with walking that road, that I need to never get too cocky and too comfortable in a certain place. I need to always be journeying, but be open to new things and not being so definite and not being so rigid with myself either.
And that's true humility,
Interesting, right? That was the strangest thing. I expected it to come up as like an answer for me. Like, how do I heal? Oh, coffee enemas, get back to those every day, or, make time to breathe or meditate, or, I expected some answer, but I just got that word. Humbly.
Yeah. It's almost like, when we were growing up as Christians, Christians would always say, oh God, should I buy this house? Should I buy that house? Should I take this job? Should I take that job? Should I marry this person? Should I not marry this person? And I remember listening to a Christian philosopher, and it was really interesting. It kind of relates to what you were just saying is, he was saying, to be honest, God really doesn't care about any of that. God doesn't care what job you work out. Doesn't care what kind of...
I remember the first time you told me that, and I thought, what? Like, it actually took me aback.
Yeah, because we were taught as Christians all growing up that God has a specific blueprint for your life, and he has everything mapped out. You have one soulmate, and you have one, all these things that you're supposed to do. And this Christian philosopher was saying that in reality, God does not care if you work at a Fortune 500 corporate job for a company or if you're a trash guy. What he cares is how you do your job. And he doesn't care who you're married to. He cares what kind of wife or husband you are. He doesn't care about what your kids look like or do. He cares what kind of father or mother you are. So he cares more about the why and the how than he does any of the particular stuff that we get so wrapped up in. And I thought that was really interesting. Whether you believe in God or not, the idea is still the same. Like with what you were told, like, how do I heal? Well, you were expecting, God, should I get this job or not? Whereas God's saying, well, I don't care about the job. I care what kind of worker you are. I don't care how you heal. You can heal many different ways, but how do you heal? Humbly. That's really interesting, I thought.
Wow. Well, you would just put it better together. You put it together better than
it's almost like
I could have right there.
It's not the process. It's the type of individual that we all are and are becoming, and that's what's more important. And so the processes are just simply molds to get us to be a certain way, where we learn our lessons. And it's interesting because you said humbly, and I was at the gym the other day, and there's someone in there talking about her daughter, and I overheard the conversation. I was doing some shoulder exercises, and there were two things over on the elliptical machines, and in between sets, I'm listening to their conversation, and the one person is saying to the other person about her daughter and how she had some sort of pain in her stomach, and the doctor gave her amoxicillin.
Ooh.
And it turned out that she was deathly allergic to it.
Oh, penicillin probably.
Yeah.
Or either, I don't know.
And so she had some insane reaction to the amoxicillin. And then she, this was actually good news because she's actually going in for a surgery pretty soon, this daughter, to get her appendix removed. And they were most likely going to give her amoxicillin. So now that they know that she's allergic to it, they're not going to do it when they do this surgery. And I'm overhearing this conversation thinking like, oh my gosh, there's so many layers to this, right? Like, and then finally I just was like, you know what? It is like, I'm just listening to people talk, and this is what she's saying. I just sort of stepped back and had no judgment and tried to be less judgmental and attached to, she should know about natural cures and all this stuff, and maybe that's kind of what your thing is with being humble, is just being not so attached to things where you feel like you want to just shake people and say, have you ever heard of this? Or have you ever heard of that? And being so attached to trying to change people and just allowing them to have their own health journey.
Well, I definitely know that's part of my journey, because I have like the savior complex. I want to save everybody.
Yeah. So do I.
Since I was a little kid, you did too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just in our, and that's part of the archetypal family that I was looking at. I mean, when you're that spiritual side, or the caregiver, especially, you want to save everyone.
Yeah.
Especially when your help isn't needed or wanted, and it's like you feel that burden. So to kind of step away from that and look at that in a new light, you can be 100% caring, but not attached to the outcome or the response people are going to give you. Because that used to be really hurtful. Yeah. When you would give so much of yourself and people didn't care, or they didn't feel as grateful as you wanted them to be.
Yeah.
So there's humility there. There's humble there, maybe that's what the humble thing goes back to too. It's like, be humble in my journey and in sharing my own story and getting the answers, and then humble in not trying to save everyone and not pushing things on people. And I don't think I do that, but I have to be really aware of like, you know, people might not want to know what I have to say and they want me to shut up.
You may want to, or you may not act like it, but you may do that in your head. And that causes all these fractions to happen inside your head and in your mind where you think, oh, this person needs to, you know, my ego is somehow offended because they won't listen to me talk to them about something I know that could help their health and help them turn everything around. Mm-hmm. And so now my ego is damaged. Why don't they listen to me? Why do they just listen to other people? And then you start going down all these roads in your head.
Yeah.
And, you know, humbleness, like you think of pride and ego and all this stuff, as something, you know, where there's a, you know, some pompous movie star or something like that. But, the same could be said for just being, you know, if you're not being humble, if you're prideful and dominated by your ego, that could just be attachments to things and getting upset when people don't listen to you. And, you know, so there's no real difference.
Yeah, you're right. It looks kind of different, but there's no difference.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a different example of what that looks like.
Yeah, it's interesting because, there's a story that we're going to share after the break here in a second.
I was going to say that goes right along with it.
Yeah, there's an interesting story. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but we've been posting it on our Facebook or have posted it on our Facebook site. And it's a story of, what's her name? Jennifer Maynard? Is that her name?
Not Jennifer, Brittany.
Brittany Maynard? Mm-hmm. Brittany Maynard, yeah. And it's really interesting. It's this young 29-year-old girl who has brain tumors, brain cancer. And she was going to move from California to Oregon, where there is the Right to Die Act, so that people could actually choose how they want to die and do it peacefully and all that. And because they said that there's no cure for her brain cancer. And what have we said so many times on our show is the only cause of all disease is a closed mind.
Yep.
And
great quote.
It's tough. It's really tough when someone you love and someone you care about, like maybe your parents or maybe your brother, your sister, family or friends, has some sort of debilitating disease like this, and you have to just kind of watch them go through that.
This might seem like an extreme example, but that's what we do on a daily basis in smaller ways. But
oh, yeah.
Yeah, could we delve into that after the commercial?
Yeah, there's a couple videos that I want to play too, just a couple minutes of each video, and it kind of relates to feeling like you have, you know, you have that complex, that God complex that wants to save everybody. And so just really, really interesting, I think. All right. So what is this? Episode 337?
337.
And I want to let everyone know too, we are going to be scaling back on shows. This next week we have 2 shows, Monday and Friday. That's going to be the normal schedule for the foreseeable future. So we're going to do 1 interview per week plus our Free for All Friday show, which is this one. Still at 9 a.m., still live, and you can still join the chat room. The reason why we're doing that is we are focusing on developing and building some online digital products for you all. So it's really, really great undertaking, but it's going to take a lot of time. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing that. But excuse me. So next week we're going to have 2 shows. The week after we have 3 shows. So we're going to have Dr. Joe Dispenza on.
Yay.
That'll be really cool. Next Monday, we have Elena. I forget her last name. It's like a Russian last name. But she's going to be talking about unassisted childbirth.
Awesome.
And then Joe Dispenza. And then we're going to have Dr. John Bergman, our chiropractor, in the studio. So good stuff.
And what do we not talk about with him? We talk about everything.
Yeah. We need to really talk about the work that he's doing. He's incredible, isn't he?
Awesome.
Okay, so we're going to be right back right after this little break.
I wanted to tell you about this really powerful and unique product called the Q Laser. Did you know there's over 2,500 peer-reviewed clinical research studies showing the benefits of low-level laser therapy on the body? We had Dr. Larry Lytle on episode 165 talking all about it. Dr. Lytle, what is the Q Laser?
The Q Laser is a light-delivering device, handheld, rechargeable, that is for lay people and professionals, that works at the cell level of the body to restore energy. Since the body is all composed of cells and the cells are composed of atoms, it's good for any and everything in the body. It is especially beneficial for injuries. It will reduce swelling and inflammation before your eyes. Literally, you can have a sprained ankle and fly the laser, and within 30 minutes you can see that the swelling in the ankle has been reduced. Since all disease is inflammatory, you can assume that same process is working if you have some type of intestinal problem. We have pictures of using a heat instrument to diagnose the intestinal inflammation. We can show that intestinal inflammation is pretty much gone within 3 minutes using the Q1000 laser. It's the number one tool in your medicine cabinet. I have a saying, never leave home without your laser. I have had 3 serious burns, and each time I had my laser with me, I applied the laser immediately after I had the burn. I never even blistered.
Kate and I don't want to be without ours. We've worked out a special deal with Dr. Lytle for all of our listeners. If you'd like to learn more about how the Q laser can dramatically improve your health, go to extremehealthradio.com/laser. So I think moving into the year 2013 and beyond, we're going to have to get really creative and develop a strategy of how to get healthy and the ways to get medicines into our body that are unique and specialized. And I first heard of nebulizing from David Wolfe. If you want to listen to his episode, it's episode number 35. But he talks about nebulizing different medicines. And what that means is turning liquids into a smoke, basically, that you can breathe in. And the pharmaceutical and drug industries use these things for patients to take pharmaceutical drugs and nebulize them so patients can breathe them into their lungs. But we're very proud to be offering what I think is the best nebulizer on the market. It's called the Omron Personal Nebulizer, and you can check it out at extremehealthradio.com/Omron. That's OMRON, and that will redirect you to a page where you can buy that. And it's really great because you can put in natural substances like colloidal silver or MMS developed by Jim Humble, and things that will kill on contact viruses and things that are taking place in your lungs. And it's a good way to get these medicines into your body. And I think that as we move forward, people are going to be sicker and sicker. And if you have a cold or any kind of throat issue, if I ever had cancer, I'd probably use a nebulizer. And the Omron is really great because you can travel with it. It's really portable, and it runs on batteries, and it's really the best nebulizer on the planet. So if you're interested in this kind of thing and want to use these types of things, I think it's really critical if you're traveling a lot or if you have a family, you want to just have this on hand, almost like in your medicine chest, so that if you ever need it, you can nebulize these colloidal silvers and MMS and other substances to breathe directly into your lungs to kill these pathogens and viruses and all these things that are living inside your lungs and your bloodstream and stuff. So it's very, very interesting. So these Omron portable nebulizers are a great way to do that. So you can check it out, extremehealthradio.com/Omron, OMRON, or you can visit our store and learn more about it in there. So thanks for listening, and let's get back to the show.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
So it is a cold, sort of cold, cloudy day here in Southern California. Halloween. It's supposed to rain tonight, Kate was telling me. And she's in the kitchen right now during the break. She's going to be coming in just a moment, but she's actually standing in the kitchen simmering some bone broth that we're going to have to help heal our gut. And you guys ever had bone broth, especially on a empty stomach? And bone broth is an amazing food, amazing food that's incredible for helping to heal your digestion. So she's going to be back in just a minute, but she's cooking up a little bone broth. So she's going to be bringing that into our little studio and warm us up a little bit. So before the break, we were talking a little bit about this girl, and she's a 29-year-old girl. And she's an amazing person, and has brain cancer and brain tumors. And she's apparently from Northern California, and she moved up to Oregon, like I was saying during the break. Thanks, Kate. Oh, how good is that?
I love me some bone broth here.
Is that really hot or is it?
It's perfect. It's nice and warm and you can feel your gut getting better. I love it.
I love it. Yeah. So she's up in Oregon. She moved there because of the laws that allow her to have the right to die. And her story is she's got this brain tumor and was given 4 or 5 months to live. And here's the interesting thing about this whole thing is that we've had people on our show talk about how when people are given a death sentence, like they say, oh, you've got 6 months to live. Usually they go home, follow doctor's orders, and die within 6 months. Mm-hmm. Right? That's sort of
because they tell you that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So that's a second diagnosis that Dr. Massey talks about on our show. The initial diagnosis is not nearly as bad or serious as the second diagnosis. The second diagnosis is the doctor standing over you in a white coat, giving you a virus that somehow imbues into your genetic sequence and tells you that you have 6 months to live. And this authority figure is telling you this, and that is the death sentence. And so anyway, she was given 6 months to live, and apparently 6 months is going to be ending tomorrow, November 1st. And so the interesting thing is, though, she
chose that date. Like 6 months to the day, isn't it, or something crazy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. The interesting thing is what?
Well, the interesting thing, is that she's actually feeling okay right now. And so I want to play a couple minutes of this video, and it says a new video for my friends. And so let me just turn down the sound volume. Let's make sure I got the other thing turned down. Okay, so I'm going to play a couple minutes of this video so you can kind of get a taste of what her situation is like. And then there's another video afterwards that we're going to play a couple minutes of. It's actually, I think it's about 32 minutes long or something, so we can't play the whole thing. But I'll play the first couple of minutes of it just to give you an idea of what's happening here. So let me hit play and see if this works. Hopefully this works here.
So if November 2nd comes along and I've passed, I hope my family is still proud of me and the choices I made. And if November 2nd comes along and I'm still alive, I know that we'll just still be moving forward as a family, like out of love for each other, and that decision will come later.
Sorry about that. Let me just explain what's going on the screen. It says mid-year, Brittany has made the decision to move with her family from California to Oregon to access the state's Death with Dignity Act. The law gives her the option to take life-ending medication if her dying processes become unbearably painful, so she can pass away gently and peacefully at home in the arms of her loved ones.
When people criticize me for not like waiting longer, or whatever they've decided is best for me, it hurts because really I risk it every day that I wake up, and I do it because I still feel good enough, and I still have enough joy, and I still laugh and smile with my family and friends enough that it doesn't seem like the right time right now, but it will come because I feel myself getting sicker. It's happening each week. I still get out and do what I can. I walk with my husband, I walk with my family and my dogs, and things like that bring me the greatest feelings of health that I have these days. But really, it's been just since January 1st, since my diagnosis, it's like health-wise things keep just getting worse. But I guess that's what happens when you're terminally ill, is you get sicker and sicker.
So we can't play all. Whoops, let me turn your mic up. We can't play all of that because it goes on and on and on.
Wow, that was a powerful statement she said at the end there. I guess that's what happens when you're terminally ill. You get sicker and sicker and sicker.
Yeah.
Like she's not helping her case at all by... look at the two. I'm not judging her. I'm not in her shoes, but look at how the people that are Louise Hayes, and then you have Brittany. I mean, she's not even trying to self-talk, it doesn't sound like, or maybe she's just given up on that. And that's her choice. But man, so you brought up something interesting about this, though, before the show.
What's that?
Is that Dr. Brzezinski has reached out to her. How did you see this?
Well, I saw this because I posted it on our Facebook community. And our community on Facebook, man, they are some of the most knowledgeable people.
Right?
I'm going to share some stuff that they've been sharing about. We had a listener write in, Lauren, about some of her digestive issues, and I posed her question to our Facebook people, and man, are they smart. But it's one of the people who responded. I posted this story on our Facebook feed on Extreme Health Radio that you can follow, and one of the people that responded was with a link to the video of Dr. Brzezinski reaching out to this girl.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's so many layers, isn't it? I mean, doesn't it sort of tie into what? Yeah, Maggie's
Maggie wants my broth.
She wants the bone broth.
Sorry, Maggie.
It really does tie into what we were saying before, because why is it within our ego to want to save everybody? See, my biggest thing is I want people to know they have options, but I can't be attached to. I don't necessarily want to save everybody, but I just want them to know there are options. And I think that's a noble thing, but you can't let your mind and your body go too much with that, because otherwise you're going to be attached to whether or not they make a decision based on what you told them.
Well, that's true. Your mom gets really upset about this. Your mom, who's had cancer, brings it up often. I mean, 'cause she listens to our show and she knows enough, and she bought, she's doing really well, but she's bought all kinds of herbs and all kind of protocols. She's really on it, and she's living a much better life in a much better way than when she was ill with cancer. But she gets really, really angry and upset when she talks about people not listening to her, when she just tells them about something, an alternative kind of a route. And I mean, I think that
I can tell it bugs her. Yeah,
it bugs her, and I think that's hurting her more, actually, because she's getting angry about things. I mean, that's.
Yeah, and it's I see what she's saying. I think a lot of people struggle with this. We do. It's difficult because you care about people and you want them to be able to live right, and you feel like you have the answers for them. And it's a difficult path because we all have people in our life. We are all fortunate to know the things that we know, but still it's like, this whole life that we have is an illusion anyway. And so the very essence of us trying to be attached to it is still another thing that we need to let go of, is being attached to the physical reality of our existence.
Is that possible to do, being in a human body? Do you think?
I think you can work towards, I think it is. I think that when people are dying, most of them, they've released the attachment of living, like they're okay with going. And I think that's where we need to be all our life, so we're not trying to force people to do things.
I was going to say, if you could do that, if you could take that feeling and that freedom of kind of near the end of your life, when you might have that clarity, and be able to somehow harness that and put it into your living human everyday life when you're not near the end, imagine what that would look like.
Yeah.
Imagine what that would look like.
You would be, like you were talking about before, much more humble.
You'd be much more whole, I think, too, and much more free with everything in life. Something to strive for. Yeah,
because I wanted to reach out to this girl and just let her know. I'm sure she's been getting, her thing went viral in a couple of days. I think she's had 8 million views.
Yeah, she covered People magazine a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so her ability to sift through people contacting her is going to get less and less. But Dr. Brzezinski reached out. And so let me play a little couple-minute, I think it's actually an interview.
Oh, cool.
Of Dr. Brzezinski. And for those that don't know, Dr. Brzezinski is a holistic health doctor down in, I think, Houston, Texas. And the bulk of his work, and the majority of his work, has to do with brain cancer, which is exactly what Brittany has. Is that her name, Brittany? Yeah.
Brittany.
And he's had incredible success with, I think, something called anti-neoplastins.
Okay.
With helping to reverse cancers. And if you haven't seen the documentary, I'd highly recommend you should see what the medical establishment, the CDC, the FDA, and the government has put this guy through.
Yeah, what's the name of it again?
It's just called Brzezinski.
Just called Brzezinski.
Burzynski. Brzezinski, and that's the name. And so let me play just a couple minutes of the opening of this video, which is actually 32 minutes long. And what we'll do is put links to these particular articles on extremehealthradio.com/337. So we'll put links to these, but here we go.
This is a Holistic Health Examiner's special report. Thanks for joining us today for this important and time-sensitive interview with Dr. Stanislaw Brzezinski as he reaches out to right-to-die cancer patient Brittany Maynard with a message of hope, letting her know if she can get this message before her assisted suicide in Oregon, scheduled for November 1st, 2014, that she does in fact have a better-than-average opportunity at a long and happy life instead, if she's willing to take advantage of Brzezinski's anti-neoplastins treatments, which have already proven to be successful eliminating the cancer tumors of his patients who have the same type of brain tumors she has, at the Brzezinski Cancer Research Institute and Clinic in Houston, Texas.
Sure, go ahead. It's my pleasure.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us for this Holistic Health Examiner special report. My name is Jeffrey Phelps with Examiner.com, and we couldn't be more honored to be talking with today's guest on so many levels and for so many reasons. Chief among those is just how important this interview actually is and the potential magnitude of the circumstances if what this special report is intended to accomplish comes to fruition. So without further ado, in the interest of time, welcome to the one and only Dr. Stanislaw Brzezinski. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. Well, when we get right down to it, you're here to reach out to Brittany and to tell her that she doesn't necessarily have to commit suicide on November 1st, and that as long as this message can reach her in time, you may actually have the answer to her cancer woes. But before we get into that, just briefly, for all those who haven't had the chance to see the amazing Eric Merola-produced documentaries, Brzezinski, Cancer is Serious Business, Parts 1 and 2, highlighting the trials and tribulations of your career in the U.S., as well as the remarkable success rates of curing cancers that Western media still claims in many cases are incurable. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started treating cancer?
Well, I'm practicing medicine for a very long time. Basically, I got my MD degree in 1967, so we really are talking about 47 years. It's a very long time. So I have seen thousands of patients, and most of these patients were cancer patients. Over the last 30 years.
So that's just kind of the idea. I'll put a link to this particular video, but really fascinating stuff. And but it kind of gets into what we were talking about is, you know, we can offer information to people, but it's really up to them to take that information and do something with it for themselves. And if you look at, you know, maybe I don't know. There's a lot of layers to this, you know?
Wouldn't this be the coolest story, though, if she decides to, like, what the heck, I have nothing to lose, I'm going to try it, and that literally, quote, cures or takes away her cancer?
Yeah.
After, I mean, talk about the biggest story in the face of the, in support of holistic natural treatments. I mean, that could throw the world on its ass.
Yeah, it could.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah,
that would be amazing if that's what could happen there.
And there's a possibility that could happen. She could see the light, and
so,
and maybe, like we're talking about before, maybe she had some sort of soul contract coming into this life, if you believe in that kind of thing, where this was the path that she was going to take, and to help people wake up, and maybe someone will see her story and see that there was a cure, and it would save them, and the course of human history would be different as a result.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, so you don't know. You really don't know what's going on with these people, but your first gut reaction is always the egoic response to things. And so your first reaction that you have is always going to be your ego, and until you sort of wake up and say, okay, what was I doing here? Why was I acting like that? And my first reaction when I saw this was, I got to reach this person and tell her, or at least send that video of Dr. Brzezinski to her. But if, you know, it's a balance. I mean, I don't know if I would be the one person that would get through to her or what, you know. So I think one of the main things to take away is just to try to help people, but not be attached to whether or not they
accept your help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Family, friends, anybody.
Yeah.
And if they choose a path that you wouldn't take with something, to support them in that.
Yeah.
And make them believe that their decision and their path is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they have that belief, then that's going to make all the difference.
You're right, no matter what they choose.
Chemo or anything.
Power of belief right there.
Yeah. Isn't that an interesting story?
It's a really disturbing story, but interesting. I'm curious to see what's going to all shake out with that one.
There's an interesting article I saw the other day on althealthworks.com, and it's apparently the strongest anti-cancer plant, and it's called pawpaw. Have you ever heard of pawpaw?
Pawpaw. I have heard of pawpaw.
P-A-W-P-A-W.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, as if those aren't enough, pawpaw bark may be the strongest anti-cancer substance out there.
Really?
Sharing similar traits to now famous exotic South American graviola.
I've heard of that.
Tree leaves and twigs, the tree that produces the soursop fruit. In fact, a large-scale Purdue University study found that it had the strongest anti-cancer abilities of any such fruit or plant on the North and South American continents, even more than soursop graviola in vitro. So there's a video, looks like, of a doctor giving a presentation about pawpaw and cancer.
Interesting. How do we get that?
I can actually share this in our chat room, and I'll put that as a link in episode 337. But yeah, Kirsty's saying a lot of cool things in here too.
You know, I have a quote I'm trying to find to go along with what Kirsty's talking about. Unfortunate kind of brainwashing with the system. My email. I had Allison Adams write me an awesome email this week, and she had the most awesome quote. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
About the way things are kind of going. It might take me a second here.
Yeah, no, Kirsty, that's awesome. I completely understand what you're saying in the chat room. How funny you were talking about Jim Carrey there.
Well, the Juice Man.
Oh, the Juice Man. Yeah, the Juice Man. So funny. But yeah, it's Kirsty says in the chat room, it's so hard to pull someone from their belief system. And that begs the question of whether or not it's our duty to do that. Mm-hmm. Is that our job to do that? You know, we instinctively will say, no, that's not our job. But it is difficult. It is difficult. And that's part of the reason why we do what we do on our show, is to, at the very least, make information possible. And in today's world, information is abundant and flowing, and there is so much of it. And at a time when there's never been this kind of information out there. And so it's incredibly powerful and empowering for people. And so our goal is to get the information out so people can take that and decide to do with it what they will, because no amount of us, you know, if we persuade our friends and family to take this treatment for this brain thing or for whatever else, you know, none of us doing that is going to increase the effectiveness of that. That person has to believe it, research it, and know it's going to be true for them. And then when they use it, it's going to be enhanced because of the placebo effect.
I agree.
So they have to put their own work in, and that's the most important thing.
Here's a really cool quote. It was really interesting. Allison Adams wrote me an email, and she said, I came across this quote from, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, Arundhati Roy. Do you know who that is?
If we had a little baby, let's name him Arundhati.
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 This is awesome, though. This is the quote. Our strategy should not... Sorry, let me start this again. Should be not. Okay. Our strategy should not... Why can't I not get the sentence?
No, you can.
Our strategy should be not only, there we go, to confront empire, but to lay siege to it, to deprive it of oxygen, to shame it, to mock it. With our art, our music, our literature, our stubbornness, our joy, our brilliance, our sheer relentlessness, and our ability to tell our own stories that are different from the ones we've been brainwashed to believe. The corporate revolution will collapse if we refuse to buy what they are selling, their ideas, their version of history, their wars, their weapons, their notion of inevitability. Mm-hmm. Remember this, we may be many and they may be few. They need us more than we need them. Another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing.
Wow.
Isn't that a great quote?
That's a great quote. Very interesting.
Yeah, I really, really resonated with it. And I thought about that when you were kind of talking about I mean, people only choose what they choose because it's been stuff that's been handed to them, and they're, quote, comfortable with that because of the brainwashing that they've been really, really good at.
Well, there's a lot of brainwashing going on about all kinds of things. I mean, just about everything you see in the media, in the news, is completely fake and not real.
We were watching a video on blue screens or green screens or whatever those
Wasn't
were.
that interesting?
Yeah.
It was how they film movies, but they're also starting to do it now with TV and news. But they've been doing this for years, where they put green screens behind the people, like that happened with what's his name, with Sandy Hook.
Anderson Cooper.
Anderson Cooper was on a green screen.
It looks like he's in front of like the White House or something like that. And he turns to the side and his nose disappears.
Mm-hmm. Look it up on YouTube. It's interesting.
It's pretty bizarre.
And so basically everything that we are being fed is some sort of brainwashing. And they do that with all the things that are the most powerful things. And it's interesting that anything that alters your mind in terms of a drug are all illegal. So any psychedelic drug are illegal, but then you have things that are equally as drugs that are completely legal, like
coffee,
stimulants,
smoking,
nicotine,
alcohol,
cigarettes,
anything.
alcohol. These are all drugs. And
Tylenol.
Yeah, it was so funny because in the gym the other day, this same person was talking to someone else, and they're talking about, I think, fighting or some sort of mixed martial arts, and they were recounting a story about this trainer, and he was saying to an athlete something like, "Are you on drugs right now?" And they kind of wanted to do a drug test on the athlete to make sure that he's clean before he competes. I just thought, wow, that's an interesting question. Are you on drugs right now? And my response would be, well, what do you consider to be a drug? You know, and so if he said, well, anything illegal, you know, or some sort of chemical substance that alters the physical physiology or the chemistry of your body, well, could not food be a drug? Anything that alters your physical makeup and your physical chemistry, your biology, is going to be a drug. Yeah. We all take drugs. Anything you drink or eat is a drug. And so, but it's interesting. There's, for those who don't know, psilocybin is a substance that's been used for thousands of years. It's highly concentrated and used primarily in ayahuasca sessions.
Is it a mushroom or is it an herb or what is it?
It's a series of, I think, 3 different herbs that they people in the Amazon have been using since the beginning of time to heal from just about everything. And it induces an incredible psychoactive and I guess I should say psychoactive state on the body. And so I'm pretty sure it's illegal here. But it's a powerful thing. Anything that's illegal.
Yeah, buying Sudafed is illegal now. I mean, you have to go show your license and they keep it behind the register locked up.
It's insane. So Daniel Vitale shared this interesting thing in a new study involving psilocybin. He says psilocybin dramatically transformed the participants' brain organization, the expert said. With the drug, normally unconnected brain regions showed brain activity that was synchronized tightly in time. That suggested the drug was stimulating long-term connections the brain normally wouldn't make. After the drug wore off, brain activity went back to normal. So very interesting. I mean, that's one of the things that I think is going to be the next thing. I think cannabis and hemp is going to be made legal eventually. It's going to have to happen. And I think things like psilocybin and these types of things too.
Isn't that funny? Like my parents' generation would think that's the end of the world. Like, oh my gosh, if this stuff becomes legal, then we're going down hell in a handcart. And our generation's like, bring it back because we need to heal from all the damage that's been done. I mean, it's 2 totally different thought worlds. You know, you're coming from 2 totally different thought arenas.
Isn't it? So, and it's the inability for people to step outside of what they've been taught and think constructively and critically, and most importantly for themselves, to think, why is there this active campaign to smear and stop and make things illegal? And we're being withheld from the medicine that can cure us from not only the diseases that we have ourselves, but the diseases that were given to us as a result of pharmaceutical chemicals.
Yeah.
So we're being withheld. So we're given the poison and told that it's good for us, and we get a disease, and then we're being withheld from the actual natural compound that will get rid of that disease. So it has to be that way.
Messed up.
And so at some point I think it's gonna.
How do you think it would become legal? You think that the FDA just wouldn't be able to keep their crackdown on it, or you think that there's money to be made, so it's going to be like the marijuana dispensaries where they're going to have their hand in the pot and get some money from?
Well, they're using 2 states to do that now, which are Colorado and Washington State, and Colorado has already made hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue, just in tax revenue from the legalization of cannabis. And once you start getting the other states looking at that, saying, wow, that's a lot of money. Our state's in debt right now. How do we get out of that?
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. And then all of a sudden, once you get states accustomed to using and having that money, it's like if you were given $1 million and you said you could have that for, or if you just were given $20 million, $1 billion, and you get used to living the high life, take that away and all of a sudden you're upset. So once states start getting this tax revenue from cannabis, they're going to get used to it and they're not going to want to give it up. And they're going to be making a lot of money off it. So I think the pharmaceutical companies just need to figure out a way to get involved and to get in the game. And I think at that point, it's going to be somewhat regulated and, they're going to do all that. They're already doing that in Colorado.
I agree with what Kirsty says in the chat room. Regardless of the therapeutic benefit of marijuana, smoking anything is bad for you, bad for the lungs. I agree with that, but do you know if, I personally agree with that. Do you know if the cannabis oil is also legal now? Is that the whole plant, not just smoking marijuana, but can you get the oil for medicinal uses in those states with no problem? Because I know that whole Rick Simpson thing.
I believe you would be able to.
Okay.
I believe you would be able to. Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not sure that smoking anything illegal, or smoking anything like that, smoking in general is going to be damaging. I guess it depends on whether or not it's organic, whether or not you roll your own tobacco, because a part of the problem with tobacco is all the chemicals that are in it from the pesticides that are sprayed on the plants and concentrated.
So maybe Indians and Native Americans back in the day that were rolling their own tobacco farmed the way that they knew it wasn't actually damaging them, you think?
Yeah, because we breathe in, like we played a thing for the Omron nebulizer, and we breathe in the vapor of good things like
silver, colloidal silver.
Yeah, colloidal silver and things like that. And so I'm not necessarily, I understand the idea that, smoking in general is not a good thing, but I think that you can cut that open a little bit more and make
piece it apart a little.
Yeah, make some finer distinctions as to, what you're smoking, when, how often.
That's a good point.
And all that. But, yeah, I was telling my friend last night, I hung out in his jacuzzi and he was asking about hemp oil. And, I was just telling him that, things like this, they have to be illegal, I think. If you're playing this game from the perspective of the pharmaceutical industries, it's really important that you keep hemp legal, or you figure out a way. See, that's the thing is with these old archaic systems, the bigger they get, the more creativity they lack, the more flexibility and the more ability they have to change with the times and bring things into their worldview is not there. And so because they can't figure out a way to either make a lot of money from it or use it in a way that benefits them, their first reaction is just to make it illegal. And so until they can get some creative people on their side and figuring out a way to make money from it, they have to keep this stuff illegal because, you're going to put industries out of business that are $1 trillion industries. Cancer, cement. The uses for hemp go on and on and on. Yeah. Cars, oil. So it's a delicate, it's a delicate thing. Delicate thing.
Wow. I'm processing.
You're processing.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take a little break here. This is episode 337, and I want to share some ideas that our community had for Lauren on our Facebook site for her digestion. So we've got some really great people in our community. So this is episode 337, and we'll be right back right after this break.
I have to say, I have been absolutely loving this product by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. If you want to listen to the interview we did with Tristan, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/127. And Qigong is a great way to de-stress the body. And as you know, there's a huge component to disease caused by stress. And stress is a huge factor in how we live our lives and the amount of energy we have and the amount of vitality we have. And so, Dr. Shade, what do you think about Qigong?
People come to me and they're really sick and they got this blown out neurological system and all this toxicity. And I tell them, you need to do Qigong, Tai Chi. You need to do these things that settle down and restore your neurology, because it puts together all the parts. It puts you back into that state where you can start to detoxify. And so I highly, highly recommend all that.
And what about you, Kit Campbell? What do you think about Qigong? Do you like it as well?
Qigong is amazing. And the reason that I believe it to be amazing is everything here is energy. That is a scientific fact, if there ever is one. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually drawing energy into your body. Your intention, whatever your intention is behind any action, will determine the level of energy, type of energy that you absorb into your body. So your intention behind is very important, just like thought. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually bringing energy in and you're bringing out the stuff that might be a bit stale. With Tai Chi, it's totally different. The energy runs underneath the skin because it's more of a martial. This is the Chinese understanding, by the way. It's more of a martial art. So Qigong is very, very good for bringing that energy into the body, and just fantastic.
If you're interested in picking up this Qigong course by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. That's QIGONG. And you can learn more about it. There's a great video on that page, and you can learn more about it on that page. And I highly, highly recommend this product. I love it myself, so go ahead and check that out. extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. Did you know that conventional dog food contains antibiotics, herbicides, pesticides, ground up carcasses from roadkill subjected to high heat processing, artificial colors, chemical preservatives, way too many carbohydrates, genetically modified corn syrups, indigestible grains, and a lack of moisture content in the dry kibble? Obviously, this can lead to health conditions like diabetes, itchy skin, teeth and gum problems, liver damage, obesity, behavioral issues, pancreatic problems, and even cancer. That's why we recommend the BARF diet, which is the biologically appropriate raw food diet from Barf World. Their unprocessed raw meats contain bone, organ meats, vitamins, and minerals that are loaded with enzymes. Barf World founder Robert Mueller explains more.
Sure, I don't have to convince you on the damage that's caused by high heat to food. So as a result, we see many skin disorders, a lot of arthritis, obesity, heart disease, cancers. I mean, it's just rampant. The vet clinics are just full of these conditions. And basically a large percentage of the commercial pet food that's made up of the human industry leftovers. And the pet food industry makes use of this waste product. And in addition to that, we are subjected to the products coming out of the rendering plants. Garbage in, garbage out. If you feed garbage to your dog, you're going to end up with garbage health. And if you put the right gas in, your engine runs smoother and lasts longer. So if you put the right fuel in the tank, you're going to get the right output. Garbage in, garbage out.
We've seen an immense difference with our dog Maggie being on this diet. Give your dog the gift of health today by going to extremehealthradio.com/barf or go to our store. That's extremehealthradio.com/barf to learn even more.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
Yeah, if you guys would like to sign up to our newsletter list, I think that would be the best way for you to stay up to date with all of our shows. Facebook is a little bit tricky sometimes. Sometimes not everybody sees our posts, and so
Facebook would be a great way as well, but it's not as sure of a thing as our newsletter list. And on our newsletter, you get access to all kinds of other stuff too that we don't post on Facebook. So I would highly encourage you to do that, to stay up to date with all of our shows. And I'm reading what Isby and Kirsty are saying in the chat room. I completely agree with Kirsty. She was saying half her elementary school friends smoke pot, and they are not the picture of health. Because you're right, the lifestyle allows many packs of beer and junk food. It's so true. It's so
true.
Unfortunately, the people that smoke pot, or a lot of them, aren't interested in
bettering their health,
and being on a journey of becoming a better version of themselves. But many people who do smoke pot are. So it's there are people that do that as well. So, but
I had a friend who was struggling with cancer for a while, actually, before she passed away, and it was really a positive thing for her, in certain circumstances. I can see why people would do it.
And then Isby says the Bill of Rights is on hemp paper. Yeah, hemp paper, the Bill of Rights, a lot of the original dollar bills and money, paper money was all on hemp, and a lot of the original founding fathers grew hemp. It's a thing that there's been a spirited campaign to disparage the power of this plant, and I think it's just a lack of creativity. I think that industry needs to get on board with learning how to use it, because times are changing, and when you can make hemp concrete that's orders of magnitude stronger than regular concrete, and it weighs a quarter of the amount.
That's interesting.
And talk about the engineering ability of creativity in terms of ways they can use that to build structures that are perhaps hurricane proof. And so it changes a lot. It changes everything in terms of how we live life. And so what industry needs to do is figure out a way to integrate hemp into their products. And what the tax people need to do is figure out a way to tax it so that they can, because this is a medicine. But the problem is you can't patent this stuff. And so who gets left out is the pharmaceutical industries, because they can't get involved. Concrete companies and things like that, paper companies, they can. But it takes creativity. And I think in 20, 30, 40 years, I think all this stuff's going to come to fruition, because you're going to have a generation of people that have always grown up with the internet, and they have a different mindset.
You think we're going to be around in 20, 30, 40 years?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're not going doom and gloom.
I know. No, I'm curious. With all the documentaries we watch, I often wonder. I'm like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
We got to stay positive here, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it's just... Yeah, we've got lots of great things coming. We had an interesting question come in on email a while back, and I posted it to our chat people. I'm sorry, to our Facebook community. And her name is Lauren, and she says, "Hi, Justin Kate. My name is Lauren, and I really want to improve my digestion. I feel like I have leaky gut, but I have not been officially diagnosed. I'm wondering if you might be able to offer some insight as to how to fix my digestion. I need all the help I can get. Many thanks in advance." So we have Linda that writes in, and she says, "Stop eating processed foods, sugar, dairy, and chemicals. Eat natural foods, herbs, spices, and minerals, amino acids, vitamins, good fats. Probiotics and enzymes are very important." Rick says, "No grains, a plant-based diet. Fruit, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Hope this helps. Oh, and get acquainted with Dr. John Bergman on YouTube."
Oh, nice.
He is the man. Yeah, he is the man.
He is the man.
He's our chiropractor. And he's
a man.
And he's a man. River Nile. Interesting name.
River Nile.
Is that like River Phoenix?
I love it.
River Nile. That's got to be a made-up name, right?
I think so. But I like it.
The main thing that made a big difference to my digestion, is to avoid wheat in all its forms. So no bread, pasta, no wheat flakes. Get the picture? If you are aware of any other food intolerances, avoid them, even in tiny amounts. I try to chew food well, and eat consciously and slowly, so I get fuller faster and never overeat. Eat when hungry, not because it's time to eat. Listen to your body. When it's really time, it will tell you. Enjoy food. Buy organic when possible. Prepare meals, so no ready-made, non-food meals. Best wishes.
As Meridian Grace would call it, frankenfood.
Does she call it frankenfood?
Mm-hmm. I love that. Very apropos for Halloween today.
Yeah, right?
Frankenfood.
What are some things that you've been doing for your gut?
I agree with all those things.
There's more too, which is cool.
There's just more. The newest thing is the bone broth. the super healing. I'm going to attempt to try to do some sort of a bone broth fast coming up here. Let's see. I've been doing the bone broth. I've been trying to blend and juice a ton more of my food, so I'm not like taxing my digestion. I think it's just laying off having to make it work overtime. I've really been trying to eat a lot more mushy foods, homemade applesauces, soups.
And rumors going around.
What's the rumor?
There's a rumor here that you're going to be making applesauce today.
That's what I'm doing right after the show.
Really?
Yes. It's our way of celebrating Halloween. That's how we roll.
I love it.
We make homemade applesauce with cinnamon, and it's going to be all gooey and cozy. And
it's so good.
It's cold out. I love it.
We should keep it warm for the Vata sort of.
Oh, we're Vataing up.
Yeah, Vataing up.
I'm going to Vata myself.
Understanding your body type would be a good one.
Understanding your body type, Ayurveda-wise, so you know how to eat. Interesting guest in the chat room. Purple Cabbage has been very helpful digestive healer for me. It cures my digestive gut symptoms in 7 days. Cool.
Purple Cabbage, how do you take that? Do you juice it? I'm wondering.
Juicing at the beginning was what they had said, but yeah, I wonder how you take that.
It's a very digestive healer. Yeah, they
carrot and purple cabbage juice. That's very helpful.
Carrot and purple cabbage juice. It must be something about the the purple color in the cabbage.
Really rich, dark colors.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm throwing the sink at it. I'm actually going to be starting a blog that starts today. I've committed to writing it every day for the entire year. So from
365 blog posts.
October 31st right now until October 31st, 2015, I'm going to blog about my health journey and where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I'm adding in, how I'm dealing with these digestive issues.
What you're eating every day.
Yeah, I'm so interested. I'm doing it a lot for myself to be able to kind of see, because I've kept food journals over the years and things like that, but I want to post all of my findings that I have along the way, you know? Keep it as like my own records.
You realize what you're doing here. You're setting yourself up for a total commitment here.
This is why I need to put it out there, because I've said things before and I haven't followed through. But I'm getting a lot better on my promises. So
well, you know what? There is no past, right? So
there is no past
right now. So this is your commitment.
Yep.
That's cool.
The Feel Good Project.
So he says that's the only thing that stopped with nausea and stomach cramping in the chat room with the cabbage and carrot juice. If you look at the cabbage, once you cut it open, it looks like the intestines, and it reduces pain and inflammation instantly.
Wow.
There's a special compound that's in the cabbage. What is it called? I'm drawing a blank here. It heals ulcers.
Oh. I'll Google it.
Yeah, it's some special compound that's in the cabbage that heals ulcers. And so it makes sense. No, it's not glutamine, or the U vitamin. I mean, it could be glutamine.
Peptic? Hold on, no. Okay,
No.
Peptic. Never mind. Peptic ulcers. I was reading the wrong thing.
But
Stomach ulcers, miracle remedy of cabbage. Let's see what's in it here. Let me read.
The beauty of the internet, right? When you can just look things up on the fly and find things immediately. It's just the most amazing time, isn't it?
Right?
So the person who, until you find it, the person who talks about this is Jay Kordich, the Juice Man, not Jim Carrey, the Juice Weasel.
This is why that's why we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, I know you guys were talking about that. Jay Kordich talks about
it is glutamine.
Is it glutamine? No, it's
the magic ingredient in cabbage. Hold on.
Well, that would make sense because glutamine, it does help to line and coat the digestive tract, but it was some other compound that he mentioned. Maybe it's another word for glutamine.
The magic ingredient in cabbage is sometimes called the anti-ulcer U factor. Its technical name is glutamine, and this compound is also available in capsules. Glutamine has proven to be a better ulcer cure than antacids.
Wow, guest 9694 is just on fire in the chat room. This is awesome. The reason why cabbage is so helpful is because it also has probiotics, and it fights infection and cancer and tumors. That's true. Yeah, it's got a lot of. It's a cruciferous vegetable, and cruciferous vegetables are incredibly powerful for helping to heal cancers and things. Especially cruciferous sprouts too, because sprouts are the most powerful food, life-giving food that contains the most spark of life. But yeah, so they did these studies in the 1920s with inmates in prison.
That's what I was just reading about right here.
Yeah.
Health Ranger.
And they healed all of their ulcers and their digestive issues and cancers, some tumors and cancers and things with inmates in prison. And that's the study that Juicy J. Kordich
Juicy J.
References on his audio series.
Interesting. Well, that's come up twice today. Maybe we need to pay attention to that.
Yeah, glutamine. That's interesting because I was, I'm curious, guest 9694 in the chat room. I'm curious if you've ever taken glutamine as a supplement because I have done that and it's, it gives me diarrhea and it kind of makes things, it really upsets my digestion.
That's how I get with it too.
And I'm curious, I bet you it's going to be a lot better as in cabbage form, because it's a natural,
Is cabbage a high sulfur food though?
It is. See, any cruciferous vegetable is a high sulfur food. And so you have an inability to methylate.
At this point.
Well, yeah, at the time the test was taken, your body, I shouldn't even say you, your body had the inability to methylate during that time the test was taken. So, I wonder if the cabbage would be good for you.
Well, I could always try it. I don't do well with, I'm so bummed because I love sauerkraut. I love cabbage and I was juicing it for a while and I didn't seem to be doing well at the time, but I'm always up for trying again. So hopefully that'll be different at some point.
Does that article make a distinction in the types of cabbage?
I don't know. I haven't read the whole thing. I'll have to post a link to it. It's the Mike Adams Health Ranger one. Okay,
we'll put a link to that. Yeah, guest 9694, I agree with you. The glutamine, you didn't like the glutamine. I didn't like the glutamine supplements either, but I'm going to try them. I'm curious if any of you in the chat room have had any digestive issues, and what you have tried as a result of trying to heal your gut, and if that's something that's important to you. Jason says on our Facebook site, the raw vegan diet, bone broth works too, but other than that, raw fruits and vegetables and some seeds. Probiotics you make, not the pills, which aren't really active and don't really work. Cultured vegetables, coconut yogurt, coconut kefir. Also start moving your body. Yoga works wonders. No pharmaceutical drugs or vaccines or alcohol or GMO foods.
I agree right there with the alcohol thing because when I cheat here and there and have a glass of wine, I'm ruined for days.
So, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it disrupts my intestinal wall and I have to start all over again.
Well, I heard something recently. I'm not sure if you guys, we should put a link to this lady. If you're familiar with the work of Dr. Rhonda Patrick, we're going to work on getting her in the studio one of these days. She's an amazing biochemist and researcher that has an understanding of the human body from her own research and studies that's unlike anything you've ever heard.
Was she on Joe Rogan?
Yeah, she's on. Yeah, and she's an amazing person. And so she was talking about alcohol and some of the reasons why she doesn't take it. But what she said about it was that it actually starts to poke holes in your intestinal lining. And that wasn't even one of the reasons.
Holes.
So yeah, that's causing some sort of leaky gut.
Is it the acidity, I wonder? Is that what's actually because you don't think of like a watery substance as being able to poke holes in your intestinal wall. Is it breaking it down because of the acid?
It could be, yeah. I don't know. When she's sitting in that chair right across from us, we're going to ask her.
Are we going to get her in here?
I'm going to work on it.
Where's she from?
Somewhere in LA.
Oh, so that is a possibility.
It's a possibility.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Yeah, she's an amazing person. And so I'd never heard that before. I'd heard about it causing dysbiosis and imbalance in yeast and sugars in your body, which lead to cancer and other imbalances within the body, weight gain and addiction and all that, and changes neurochemistry. But I'd never heard that it burrows holes in your intestine.
I've never heard that either. I've never heard that.
For someone trying to heal their gut, now you know why.
Right.
So you felt weird when you took it?
And I took that test. I forget what it was called, but with Dr. Stephen Hines. And he sends you this kit, and you do some stuff. And I think it's also, I don't remember, that one's a stool sample, saliva. Don't think there was blood involved in that one, but that one came back showing my amoebic infection. And along with that is he had reason to believe that I was suffering from leaky gut. It showed a highly sensitive reaction to gluten. And he said whenever there's a gluten intolerance or sensitivity or intolerance present, that leaky gut's usually the culprit for that,
Wow.
So I feel like, unfortunately, I've been doing all these great things to heal. And then at the same time, I'd throw back a glass of wine every month, just like one a month, but that's enough it really would reset me. I felt fine after drinking it, but the next couple of days, I'm like, why am I feeling like this again? It's like.
So your digestion was all messed up.
Yeah. And it's like this sulfate-free organic wine that you think you could get away with, and kind of cheat a little. And then, because I used to love my wine every night.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, a glass a month won't do much to you. And I waited 3 months before I even had a glass because I was so paranoid of it doing something. And sure enough, it's the fastest way, in my opinion, to damage your gut again, to re-damage. So I'm taking note, and I'm, attempting to try again and do better this time around.
Yeah, Jason also says non-GMO foods, obviously, and supplement with iodine. I'd never heard about iodine in terms of gut health, but apparently he thinks so.
You know what? I only knew that. I only knew that because of what's it called? When I went to see Andy at Hill Country Health.
Country Health Store.
He was doing a lot of muscle testing and kinesiology type work on me, and he was doing some stuff that he told me I needed to take 5 iodoral pills a day, and that's for gut healing, and that's the first time I'd ever heard that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I remember him saying that he muscle tested you for that many, but I don't remember him saying it was for gut healing.
It was for gut healing.
Wow, I should do a little research on that, iodine and gut health.
Mm-hmm.
Penny says as well, not knowing if she already follows a mostly natural life or not, the answers are endless in both cases. She'll need to advocate more info as she starts getting suggestions. But if so, I would really try to simplify the diet. Really simple means really simple meals so that you can figure out if your digestion is reacting to something. Like in the case of Kate's figuring out that balsamic vinegar was a trigger. We all have those moments when we realize that something we are doing for our health may not agree with our unique makeup. Penny Butler says that. She's a really interesting lady.
Interesting.
You can look her up on Facebook. But we have ACV, a good probiotic, bone broth, digestive enzyme, one called Reabsorb, according to Tanya.
Okay.
Tanya Ryan.
Oh, Tanya.
Is that Tanya? That's our Tanya?
From Florida.
No way.
Yay.
That's
her.
Right. Yeah, she says, hi, Lauren, bone broth, and I take a digestive enzyme called Reabsorb. Tanya had a big part of her colon removed. Remember that?
Yes, I do. Major surgery.
We actually know Tanya from the Dayton Medical when we went on a retreat to the Dominican Republic, and she's a great friend. Wow, that's so cool.
Interesting.
That is so cool. I'll have to reach out to Tanya and say hi. Bone broth, L-glutamine, real sauerkraut, no wheat, no garlic is what helped me. Laura says, Dr. Christopher's lower bowel. Dr. Christopher's an amazing herbalist. I'll have to look into that. And Josh says, I have completely... I'm sorry. For those that don't know, Dr. Christopher is an herbalist, master herbalist, amazing guy. We've had a representative, I think his grandson, of his institution on our show a while back, and he's referring to the lower bowel formula. So you can search that, Dr. Christopher's lower bowel formula. And Josh says, I've completely rebuilt my gut over the past few years: juicing, detoxing, fasting, urine therapy, high fat but mostly plant-based diets, a lot of fermented sprouted foods, enzymes, the whole 9 yards, and my digestion still suffers. Wow. Luckily, I have learned about Dr. Bergman as well from EHR and found my spine traumas are greatly impairing my digestive organs.
Wow.
Interesting, yeah. First, do the elimination diet and eliminate all foods. Google how to do this. Then make sure that you have digestive enzymes, homemade fermented foods, and HCl after the meals.
Oh, HCl, yeah.
See, our listeners, man, they're top notch, man.
Man, aren't they? I love that people take the time. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's like everyone's kind of rallying around Lauren here to help her with her digestive issues. Pretty cool.
Well, thanks for everybody putting in. Yeah, I'm right there with everybody. My digestion's still pretty jacked here and there, and I've done so many things, and sometimes you're about to wave the white flag, but you can never stop because you're only going to feel worse if you regress,
Yeah, I'm gonna do with some of this guests here. Says guest 9694 in the chat room. Cabbage really helps everyone. You have no idea how sick I was last week until and only the cabbage juice has helped me tremendously. I kiss my cabbage.
I love that.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Hey, I'm going to post an article I just found right now just by Googling iodine and what's that called?
Gut
health.
Oh, gut health, yeah.
By Dr. Bryce E. Vickery. This is just the first part. In so many years of testing people, iodine has always shown up to be a very important and primary nutrient in regards to people's health and healing. Testing has always shown an iodine-deficient person to be unable to utilize their proteins properly, and an iodine-deficient person will remain protein-deficient. My current work with my new product, Vickery Sea Plant Minerals, has further illuminated the real importance of not just curing iodine deficiency, but bringing people to full-body iodine sufficiency. It is a two-step process that can take some time. And he goes on to talk about, just this next paragraph says, in the past, I have seen that a couple of milligrams of iodine daily will cure iodine-deficient people with adequate gut absorption powers. This will allow them to utilize their proteins. Wow. It talks about the saliva glands, stomach, colon, and eyes. It helps everything. Interesting. Maybe that's part of healing up so that you can actually absorb your proteins, that you can heal. I'm not sure. Maybe basically I'm wondering what's happening is if you're not able to deal with those proteins, and so that's hard on your digestion. I don't know. Fascinating stuff. Yeah. Man, there's a lot to this whole gut health. If you can get your gut health cured and fixed, you're going to solve many and probably all of your health issues. Seems to be where it all starts, doesn't it? Yeah, disease begins in the colon is what Dr. Norman Walker used to say. So it's imperative to have proper gut health and proper, or not to have dysbiosis. That's such a great word, dysbiosis. Isn't it? Mm-hmm. So we're working on ourselves, and what we find and what's going to work for us, we will share with you guys. Kirsty asked how our stuff with Dr. Bergman's going. Is he helping any of our ailments and issues? I believe for me, he totally is. He is. Actually, we're working with Dr. DeWitt. Yes. Who's his partner. But we're going to have Dr. Bergman back in the studio next, not this coming up, or 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, yep. Yeah, he'll be back in the studio. But yeah, they work miracles at that place. They really do. I'm feeling good. I haven't seen scans or, they do that, I think, after the first 3 months of treatment. But I feel like my body is just aligning more. I had this major right foot pain for the last 6 to 8 months. That's starting to go away daily. It's becoming lighter and lighter. Nothing's been able to help for that except chiropractic. And I just feel everything. I'm easing more through life. I'm like, life just seems to be a bit like I'm breezing through it a little easier. I don't know what that is. If I'm getting more oxygen to my brain, if my muscles and my spine are getting back to how they should be aligned. I'm not sure. Yeah, and I think that when you have your alignment proper and the whole structure of your body is properly aligned, it affects the organs, and that affects the input-output signals that your organs send out, and so it affects your hormones and how you feel and how much drive you have and how tired you are and how sluggish you are. So, chiropractic work is really, I think, very, very important. And you have to find the right chiropractor, and you have to find a guy that's going to be, you're going to feel comfortable with, and a guy who really understands the anatomy of the body, and someone who understands alternative health and nutrition, which Dr. Bergman is the go-to guy for that, I think. Mm-hmm. But I've been feeling amazing from doing it. Just absolutely amazing. I think the thing that I'm really encouraged by is the x-rays or the scans that we had. It doesn't not only shows your spine, it showed gas bubbles all up in your organs and things like that. And you were you were not able to properly mineralize and get the nutrients from your food. It showed on your scan because things were blocked. And I mean, you have more gas than and I was like, I knew I had, problems in my organs and digestive problems and things. But, it was interesting before he even looked at those scans, he's feeling around your body on that first, appointment. And he's like, do you have this? You're like, yeah. Do I have that? Yeah. He can read you, and he said, oh my gosh, he told me, he goes, well, if you have that pancreatic and liver stuff going on, you haven't seen anything. It's like your organs haven't been able to work properly because you haven't been aligned properly in order for them to work. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. I would highly suggest people in the area go see Dr. John Bergman at Bergman Chiropractic, and not just around the area. People fly in from all over the world. We go in their waiting room and talk to people that
have these amazing stories of overcoming all kinds of different health issues through the major protocol they're using is chiropractic care. And they'll come and they'll stay there. They go to a hotel or stay with family and friends or something in the area for months and get weekly treatments until their spinal alignment issues are resolved after that show that after the final X-ray.
Yep.
Then they can go back and continue living their life. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, it's we've seen all kinds of people in there from different countries and different states, and people trying to rent. Like, remember, there's a couple that had a flyer on Dr. Bergman's like when you first walk in, they're looking to rent a short-term couple-month apartment because they're wanting to stay at not a hotel and have a little bit like more of a home situation.
Right.
It's just really neat that people value their health that much, you know.
This guest in the chat room says, Kate, please try cabbage juice. It has probiotics in there too, which helps the gut digest stuff, and you'll poop too. It literally brought me back from the dead. I'm gonna do that. This is as therapeutic as it is for you guys listening to it. It's also therapeutic for us, and you guys are such an informed crowd.
Gee.
And so we hope we're bringing some value to you guys, and it goes both ways. So this is pretty cool. I think I might try some of this cabbage. I don't think I've ever done. So do you do cabbage and like carrot?
Only?
I'm curious. Yeah.
I've only juiced. I've done purple cabbage a few times. I was juicing a lot more green cabbage. I'm wondering if that's where the sulfur issue.
Cabbage, carrot, and celery. The 3 C's. All right, I like that. So if you do cabbage, carrot, and celery, I'm curious if you make like a 16-ounce glass of juice, how much of that is going to be cabbage? I wonder. Yeah, try the purple one. Yeah, we're going to try the purple one. I like that. It tastes better. Yeah, a little bit. Interesting.
Cool.
I like that.
I know what we're doing today after I make applesauce. We have a big day ahead of us.
Big day.
Big day for us.
I'm so excited that today's Friday, and okay, he juices half the purple cabbage. Wow, that's a lot.
So half the juice is purple cabbage. Okay.
So that would be for one person. So we would juice a whole cabbage.
Well, we've done crazier.
I know, right? Remember that time we tried to juice garlic?
Oh my gosh! You charged it. You didn't feel good after that either.
No.
I wussed out after I couldn't even get it down. Oh, didn't you have like a full shot glass?
You know what I should have done is bought the little double zero capsules from the health food store and put the cabbage juice in that and swallow that. Yeah.
Man alive.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Yeah, Isby, I see a YouTube video. That's great. You need to know a lot of people who like raw food, though. Yeah, interesting. Kirsty. Yeah, the Marcus Rothkranz recipe. Kirsty, do you have the recipe for that by any chance? We'll put a link to that on the show page when we post this podcast, which will hopefully be tomorrow. We'll be caught up. We're going to post Leanna Warner Gray today.
Yay. I love Liana.
Yeah, Kirsty, if you have that recipe, that would be great to share in the chat room, and I'll put that on
the purple cabbage juice.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Wow.
Awesome. Well, we have a lot to do today.
Yeah, a lot to do.
We're going to go buy some purple cabbage.
Time is running out. Time is of the essence.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Kirsty, and thanks, guest 9694. Funny with these internet names, right?
Right.
But thank you all. I really appreciate you guys being on the show. Is there anything else we didn't cover?
There's always stuff we don't cover.
There's always stuff we don't cover.
We didn't even get into a half our list, but that's okay.
That's all right.
Yep.
Yeah, so we thank everybody for joining us, right?
Yeah, thank you guys. Love you all.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Everybody be safe.
Dress up like a date tonight.
I'll be a fig, you be a date. I am going to make us a half raw pumpkin pie tonight, though.
Oh, really?
I baked the crust a little, but the topping is all raw. I'm going to go, I got to go to the store right now and get all this stuff.
You know what? I have to say, typically we don't buy canned food, anything, right? So I'm sort of removed from the whole canned food world.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was preparing the show that I posted yesterday for Alicia Diaz, I saw one of her videos where she talks about making a raw no-bake pumpkin pie. And she said normally she uses a coconut, or I'm sorry, not a coconut, but a...
almond?
No, pumpkin.
Pumpkin, okay.
For the filling.
Uh-huh.
Like a real pumpkin. But this time in this particular recipe, she used a canned pumpkin. And she said there is a BPA-free, chemical-free cans that you can get.
What?
So the inside is lined with a BPA-free lining. So it doesn't leach metal. And I thought, wow, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are like, oh, duh, those things are all over the place. But since we don't buy canned food, I always just avoid canned food because I don't want the metal from the can.
Oh, my gosh.
Isn't that cool? Have you never heard of that?
Nope. You hadn't either.
Yeah. Could you put a note to that, Alicia Diaz? I'll find that video of the raw pumpkin pie. Put that in the show notes.
Wow, that is so encouraging. People are waking up.
Mm-hmm.
This is so encouraging.
It takes me so long to do the Friday shows because we talk about so many different links.
I know.
To make all the show notes for the shows is so...
It's probably going to take you about 6 hours for this one, but...
Oh, my goodness.
I'm keeping notes over here, though.
But yeah, thank you for that. And I think hopefully our listeners can refer back to the page.
Well, I've been doing this for sure. I've been doing pumpkin, organic, not canned pumpkin. It comes in a little pouch. Like a paper pouch.
It's
really awesome.
It's organic, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's just plain pumpkin. It's organic pumpkin. That's all. Nothing added. It's just awesome. So it's out there. Just having to get... I think it's called by Fig & Company.
Oh, really?
Yeah, let me look for that. We'll put a link to that, too.
There's recipes. You know how you see in the Asian markets? I think someone posted this in the chat room just recently, but in the Asian markets where they have the canned coconut cream...
Uh-huh.
I wonder if those cans have the BPA-free lining as well.
I don't know.
Because I always avoid the canned coconut because of that reason.
Yeah.
But maybe...
I don't know.
I should actually look at the cans.
Imagine
that, right?
Well, I think that you'd start seeing it because we buy coconut water in these containers that are, like water or paper.
Oh, cardboard or whatever.
Yeah, and they have this new thing where when you twist the cap off, it's a self-breaking seal. So it cuts and then you take off the thing. So the first time I did that, I opened it up and thought, oh my gosh, this has been opened. And so I called the company I said, do you guys have something new going on? And they didn't even advertise it on the outside of it. Like you think they'd be like, now has a self-opening seal. Like,
oh, right.
And so I bet they have all these people. I'm like, that isn't the smartest, but you think on the outside of those cans, they'd be like new BPA free, blah, blah, blah.
People are waking up.
I'm so happy. Yeah. It's called Fig & Company, the pumpkin puree I use. It's so good.
Very interesting. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us.
So fun.
More discussions going on in the chat room. I wouldn't mind living on just cabbage juice and eating cabbage. I'm very proud of my cabbage results and very grateful for the veggie.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love when that kind of stuff happens.
And I want to invite you guys, too, to continue to chat in the chat room because the whole idea is to build community and make friends. And so even if we're off the air or during the week, if you want to find other people to chat with, I want to encourage people to go to the chat room and spend some time there and hopefully chat with other live listeners as well, even during times when there's no shows. But if you guys could, it would be incredibly helpful if you could leave us a review on iTunes like we read at the beginning of the show. That helps us so much. I can't tell you. And if you would go over to iTunes, sign into your account, go to the store, iTunes store, and then type Extreme Health Radio, all one word, and leave us a review and a rating, and then subscribe to us. That would be just amazing. So thank you, Kirsty, for saying it's a great show. We appreciate that so much. And
so fun to be friends with all you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I wish we could. That's one of the bummer things about doing this is we can't actually physically talk to the people that listen. I wish we could. But yeah, so if you guys could leave us a review on iTunes, and even for the live listeners, there's a link over on the left-hand side, Facebook, that says share. So if you want to share this page or share any of our pages on Facebook, that would be incredibly helpful too. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, if you want to support us on Amazon and bookmark the link, extremehealthradio.com/Amazon, you can always bookmark that and use that for all your purchases any time of the year. And that would help us so much. That would actually prevent people from forgetting to do it too if they bookmark it. So
that'd be great.
That would be really helpful. And yeah, that would be great. And this show, again, is brought to you by the Vitamix Blender. So you get free shipping if you go through our link, extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix. And if you have any questions about any of the things that we talked about, any of the commercials, anything like that, please let us know. And one final thing, the guest 9694 says one of the main plants used in making fermented foods and promoting beneficial probiotic gut flora, used throughout history for cancer, arthritis, asthma, bronchitis, cold sores, colon, bowel, IBS, detox, gout, hangovers, liver, lungs, ulcers, tumors, you name it.
Cabbage.
Wow. That's
Many
awesome.
uses of cabbage.
Thanks, Isby. You said already done, boss. Probably from the iTunes review. Thank you so much. That really helps us. So it looks like the theme of today's show was cabbage.
Cabbage. I love it. We should put that in the show title.
Cabbage.com.
Cabbage.com.
So yeah, enjoy your weekend, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. I hope you guys are going to have a great Halloween and enjoy your weekend, right?
I feel bad that we're not dressing Maggie up. She was going to be a sweet pea. And I went back to get her costume, and it was all sold out.
Do we have any other old costumes for her?
We threw them away when we were massive spring cleaning.
In our,
we made her a hot dog.
We did.
And then she was a bumblebee the year before.
You know what we'll do? Let's post one of those old pictures to our Instagram account.
Okay, it's so cute.
Little hot dog.
Little hot dog weenie. Halloweeny.
We got really inspired by our feng shui interview with Tisha Morris the other day. And just cleared out tons of our house. So.
We did, and it was, you know what, I don't regret it, but
we lost those
you know,
things.
maybe it's good that there wasn't the need to add on anything new for
That's true.
For Maggie's costume, so it worked out.
That's true. All right, everyone, we're just babbling here. So thank you so much for joining us. Please pass the show on to any of your friends, Facebook, whatever. That would be so helpful. We really appreciate that. Don't forget to visit our store, too, for all the products that we do commercials for. Lots of great stuff in our store, so don't forget to check that out.
And your bio Pappy says,
what?
Over and
out. That's right. I didn't play him today at the beginning.
Oh, can you play him at the end?
I forgot.
Can you play him as a little treat at the end?
A treat at the end. Yeah, you know what? I'll do that. I'll play that right now.
It's funny.
And then we're going to play our little end bit here, too. So this is pretty good. Okay, here we go.
Bye, guys.
Okay, bye, guys. Thanks
Catch you on the
so
next
much. Yeah.
You're listening to KEHR, 50,000 watts broadcasting worldwide from sunny Southern California. ExtremeHealthRadio.com. This is Chief BioPappy signing off. Over and out.
Hey, everybody. This is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
That's so good.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine.